Welcome to today's shir. Today we have the shir. It's located here in shazak.com, and you click on Seforim, Vesofrim, and you'll have all the resources. So once again, I have updated the website here, and I would encourage everyone to go on the website. Seforim, Vesofrim, geared for adults, not so great for kids. And the latest shiurim are on the top. So today I'm going to give the shir, and this is just a picture, but after the shir this will turn into the video where you'll be able to see the shir. And I have resources. So what we've been doing until now, if you scroll to the bottom, you'll see, starting from the oral law, the differences between Sephardim and Ashkenaz, Torah min hashamayim, Torah loy b'shamayim, the difference between Rashi and the Rambam, the perspective, how they both look at the Gemara, two different outlooks, two different perspectives. And the last couple shiurim were Klalo Shel Davar, where the Rambam says that all you need to do is learn Chumash, my Mishnah Torah, and that's all you'll need in order to master the oral law. Both of these shiurim were quite long, over an hour each. And today is actually a continuation of it, but it could also be independent. What we're also trying to do is to have resources for the shiurim. So, for example, there was a homachloikis between Shadal and the Maratzchias. So you click over here, it opens up in a new tab, and you'll be able to actually look at the source, and that should be very, very beneficial. So today we're going to continue. Actually, this is the conclusion, and I look forward to the upcoming shiurim, where we're going to start. We're going to start something new, and we hope that that will be very beneficial. We'll talk about it next shir, of course. So today's shir is as we said, a continuation, that the Rambam was writing his Mishnah Torah, and he wrote it in a way that all you need is my Mishnah Torah in order to master the oral law. And there was this is a shocking statement. In other words, it seems from here that the Rambam is minimizing, so to say, minimizing the learning of the Gemara, to say the least. And there came different arguments concerning that, because we hold the Rambam in such high esteem. So how is it possible that he is, so to say, neglecting the Gemara? So what we have in today's shir is going to be a conclusion of this, and there are a few very, very interesting episodes. So in order to understand this, there is an amazing article from a great scholar, Rav Shama Friedman, or is known as Professor Shama Friedman. Hopefully it's going to work. I'm going to click over here. I think he's originally from Philadelphia. He lives in Eretz Yisrael. He has another brother who's an extremely big Talmud Chacham, Rabbi Professor Mordechai Friedman, and they write tremendous articles concerning all different topics. It's written more in modern Hebrew, but very interesting. So the article that we're focusing now on is this article, Harambam v'Hatalmud. So at the very onset, I'd like to say that what we are going to conclude from this is indeed the Rambam is minimizing the learning of Gemara. That's 100% true. And based on this article, based on the other shiurim I gave before, in spite of what Maharas Chia said, that was the last year, it seems clear that the Rambam is minimizing the learning of the Gemara. However, we are also going to explain during this year, and we're going to elaborate a bit more, that so what? You know that the Rambam is minimizing the learning of Gemara. This is clear what he wrote in the Hakdama to his Mishnah Torah, and we review different things. But so what? It's not the first thing that we don't paskin like the Rambam. It doesn't mean to say that based on the shiurim that I'm giving that you should close your Gemara. That's not the case. On the contrary, Klal Yisrael did not accept that. V'haraya, the proof to that is, look into all the mefarshim of the Rambam. Let's go over here on Oitzer HaChochma. You open up what I call a real Rambam. You open up a real Rambam to anywhere, and you'll see that not only did the Rambam, through the writing of the Mishnah Torah, not only did it happen that the Rambam lessened the learning of Gemara, on the contrary, people started to learn more and more Gemara than ever before. Let's just look over here. Hilchos Ishus, Kesef Mishnah. So every single statement of the Rambam, they're trying to find the source of the Gemara, and it's like a puzzle. It's like somebody who is a detective who's investigating something, because the Rambam doesn't write any sources of Gemara. So therefore, what do you have to do? First find out, where is this Paraketzad? Look at the differences. And Yevamis over here, the Lechem Mishnah, the Mishnah Lamelech, and the Mefarshim that we see over here is just a drop in the bucket. There are probably hundreds of Mefarshim of the Rambam, but these are the classic ones that are printed here. Migdolais. What is Migdolais? Reb Shem Tov, who wrote this, was one of the first, if not the first, Mefarsh of the Rambam. His entire Pirush that he's writing is to find out what's the source in Gemara. He's going to tell you Parakama Dikdushin. And the other thing, he himself is a fascinating person. The other thing is, what does the Ravid say? And the Migdolais, Rabbi Shem Tov Ibn Gaon, so his entire being is to protect the Rambam from Hasagas Haravid. And he's an interesting parsha on its own. So what we're saying from here is that what the Rambam wrote is in his Hakdama, he wrote it, and that was not ongenum, and it was not accepted in Klal Yisrael. On the contrary, nobody really closed, I don't know if I could say nobody, but people in general did not close the Gemara. On the contrary, it brought out more pilpulim, more learning Gemara than ever before. Either Rambam wrote in his Hakdama, whatever he wrote, so what that he wrote it. And let me give you let me actually start with this, and I'm going to go back on the website, and I'm going to give you another example. So here I have a source, and I apologize that it's from Wikipedia. It's just that it's the best, at least the easiest, in order to show you. Of course, you should be learning the Seforim. You don't have to go to Wikipedia, but this is the easiest I saw in order to present it. So we have a question whether you're allowed to make parnasa from learning Torah. Well, it says clearly in the Mishnah, Reb Tzadik Oimer, Al Tasa Mistivre Torah Torah Liskado Behem V'loi Kardam Lachbar Behem V'kacha Yehilol Oimer Udishtamish Bitaga Cholef. So it says clearly here in Pirkei Avos, Halamadet Kol Nena Midivre Torah Noito Chayav Mina Olam. So it says clearly in Pirkei Avos that Rabbi Tzaddik and Hillel both say that don't use your learning, the fact that you learn Torah, don't benefit from it, don't make it your livelihood. It says clearly, V'loi kardam lachber bahem udishtamish betaga, and if you do utilize that taga, the keser, taga is keser, cholaf, you'll be eliminated from this world. I just want to give you a Maimer HaMusker. This is my vart, but I don't know if it's true or not, but it's an interesting thing that it uses udishtamish betaga cholaf. Taga is a keser. So if you look into the Balaturim, you'll see that There's 620 letters to Aseres Adibris, plus you have 7 mitzvahs. It's 7 mitzvahs midrabanan. It equals 620. So that the Baal HaTurim says that it's keser. That's the gematria of keser. So if you take the word keser, it's interesting over here, udishtamish betaga, and if you're using the keser, the crown of the Torah, chalaf. Chalaf means you're exchanging your life, meaning basically that you get kares. So it's interesting. It's a cute vart that udishtamish betaga chalaf. That if you take the Torah, which the Torah is keser, but you utilize it in the wrong way for your own benefit, then chalaf means you're going to switch the letters. You'll switch the letters from keser, and it becomes kares. Okay, that's just a vart. I don't know if it's true or not, but I just wanted to add that. So anyways, based on this, it looks like it's extremely severe. Look what's happening over here. That it says, if you use the Torah for your parnasa, then naito chayav mina olam. So according to this, basically, perhaps we should close down. Rabbanim should not take a salary. Any klei kodesh should not take a salary. So there was, the Rambam was the one who in Pirush HaMishnayos, he writes extremely, extremely sharp words regarding this. And the Rambam says, yes, that's what it says, and it means what it says. So based on this, I'd just like to mention that the Rambam was a person who practiced what he preached. So he had a shutvis beforehand with his brother. His brother's name was David. His brother was in the jewelry business. He was traveling to India, so the boat capsized and he died. But it was actually a shutvis that the Rambam had with Rabbeinu David, with his brother David. And because of that, I think the Rambam was more like a silent partner. So because of that, the Rambam was, you could say, depressed, and he was a terrible, terrible situation afterwards with Parnasa because he lost all his money. So the Rambam could have been afterwards, he could have been a Nagid. He was a Nagid, but he could have been receiving money as a Nagid. He could have been a Rav in a shul. He could have had a very, very easy way in order to make a livelihood, but based on his pshat over here, based on his psakdin rather, that you're not allowed to make it al tasa like kardam lachbar bahem, so he had no choice. So that's why he became a doctor. That's the story behind it. So anyways, so the Rambam in Pirush HaMishnayos, the Rambam in Mishnah Torah talks about it. And he says very, very sharp words. In Pirush HaMishnayos, by the way, it's best to look over there. You could see more how he's passionate about it. But even in Mishnah Torah, he does talk about it there. And it poses a big problem. If that's the case, what do we do? What's happening today? So what I'd like to do is to say a parallel to what we're saying beforehand, that the Rambam is minimizing the learning of Gemara. The parallel is, just like the Rambam said is psak din, and he was passionate about it, and he writes about it in Mishnah Torah, kol mesim al libo sheyasik b'Torah v'lo yasim alav mismart minat stakar izeh chilul es Hashem ubiza es ha-Torah v'chiba me'or hadas v'garam ra la'atzma v'nato chayav min ha'olam haba lefi she'asa lahanis b'divrei Torah ba'olam hazeh. So the Rambam elaborates over here, and the Rambam's passionate about this. Nevertheless, what do we see? We go out, we have yeshivas, we have people who are klei kodesh, who are benefiting. This is their parnasa. So, or kashrus, perhaps you could say kashrus also. I'm involved in kashrus. This is my parnasa. So what's the answer to it? The answer is simple. We don't paskin like that. All right? We have the Rashbatz, who's Reb Shimon ben Semach Durin, and he writes a famous tshuva in Tashbatz about it. And he goes through point by point that, for example, the Rambam says, take Hillel. So Hillel was a poor person. Hillel hazakin hayachoyte veitzim. Okay, all these different things. So the Tashba says, okay, you know what? We really don't know. It seems that Hillel hazakin was a choyte veitzim before he was known in the world and before he got his position as a Talmud Chacham, as a Rosh Hashiva. So how can you bring a raya from there? So the Tashbitz goes from one thing to another. So here I have also, I have this link to the Tashbitz who lived in the 1300s, over 100 years after the Rambam passed away. And the Tashbitz, you could see over here, all the different Seforim that the Tashbitz wrote, Magen Avos, and Zoyar Harakia. These are pretty famous Seforim. So the Tashbitz is somebody who disagreed completely on the Rambam. We don't paskin like that. So back to, by the way, I'd just like to say that on my website, I took this Encyclopedia Lotoldes Gedolei Yisrael. It also opens up on another page. And let's say I do Control F. I want to find the Tashbitz. And it comes out one. No, there's more. There's more because it takes time in order to load. So this really, I think, is the best way to find out. Just if you go through this entire sefer, it will be fantastic, and you get so many ideas from it. All about the Gedolei Yisrael, the Rishonim and Achronim. So here is a beautiful thing. Reb Shimon ben Semach Durin, you could learn all about him, and I think a lot of people take from here. You could see about his farm and everything. It's a fantastic resource. Now, what's even better over here, in a way, this resource, better than actually having the sefer itself. It's great to have the sefer itself. Sefer is always the best, but the fact that you could actually look up things just by pressing Control F, and you could research things, you could find things, you could find Gedolei Yisrael. So it's not the latest Achronim, but you have a tremendous amount. It's a great resource. Okay, so then we're back to this. So what we're going to do right now is open up this article from Harav Shama Friedman. We're going to go through the article, and then towards the end we're going to talk about that from all the Gedolei Yisrael, it seems to me, and it's just a hashara, it's just speculation, that the Lubavitcher Rebbe is the closest one to the Shita of the Rambam, because we're also going to explain if, according to the Rambam, this is the idea that we shouldn't spend that much time learning Gemara. So what are you going to spend your time doing? So we'll be talking about that. So here I have this article, and I did highlight different things from Rav Shama Yehuda Friedman. And I'm going to be going through different things, and we have Bididi Have Uvda. We actually have stories of the Rambam, and when we say stories of the Rambam, I don't mean the made-up stories of the Rambam. Stories of the Rambam that is based on actual manuscripts that we have, either from the Rambam himself, from his son, from different people who lived in that era. That's what I mean when I say stories. So he starts off over here where the Rambam says, so this article is basically the Rambam and his connection to the Gemara, or his viewpoint concerning Gemara, the Talmud. Lefikach karasi shem chibur zeh Mishnah Torah, lefi adam kar b'Torah shebiksav tchila, v'acher kach kar b'zeh, v'yidea mimenu Torah shebal peh kula, v'ena tzarech likra sefer achar b'beinehem. You don't need anything else. So he writes that also in the Hakdama, similar in the Hakdama to Sefer HaMitzvahs. He writes something similar. And then you have this whole argument that comes up concerning that. So he brings down here something that's also mentioned in my Sefer. The Rambam, indeed, he relieved people from learning Gemara. He writes in an amazing letter to his student, his beloved student, that student that he wrote Moreh Nevuchim for. So he writes to him from his inner feelings. This is his wonderful, you could say, his chaver in learning Torah. And he says to him, Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, I am telling you right now, people are jealous. Jealous of my works. They're jealous of Mishnah Torah. Here he's referring specifically to Mishnah Torah. Ulukol zerak la'asilave, there's jealousy. However, the jealousy will be eliminated. La'asilave likshetichla hakina v'atayva v'sashrara yistapku kol b'nei Yisrael boy levadai v'yiznach kol sefer halachim elvadai b'li safek. So the Rambam is saying that I am predicting the future, and the future will be that right now people are saying, Mishnah Torah, who is this fellow who's writing the Mishnah Torah? That's because they lived in his times. But I'm telling you, when these people die out, when the kina, when the jealousy is eliminated, at that time, my Mishnah Torah, the vision that I had for Mishnah Torah will stay. The vision is that people will be using Mishnah Torah and Mishnah Torah alone. Everyone will agree that they will be using my chibur. The chibur is Mishnah Torah, v'yaznichu kol chibur zulasei. They're going to leave any other one. That's what he's writing to Yosef Rabbi Yehuda. So now we're going to continue to these letters that the Rambam writes to Yosef Rabbi Yehuda. When he's writing to Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, you could see what he's writing here is what he really thinks. This is his chaver. This is who he's writing to. So what happened was that Yosef Rabbi Yehuda moved, I think, to Aleppo, and he's asking him, what should he be doing? What should he be doing as far as Parnasa? And what should his learning schedule be? He's asking his Rebbe, his mentor, who's the Rambam himself. So we have, it's probably, I'm sure that it's written in, not sure, but I think it's written in Arabic. Usually, you just have to say the rule is, everything the Rambam wrote was in Arabic, besides for Mishnah Torah. Even Sefer Mitzvahs was written in Arabic. And also, if someone writes to him, let's say someone from France that didn't know Arabic, so the Rambam would write back in Hebrew, in Lashon Kodesh. So that's the rule. So I assume that Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, he wrote Moreh Nevuchim for him. Moreh Nevuchim was written in Arabic, so of course he knows Arabic. I don't know a lot about Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda. So anyways, so let's say this was written in Arabic. So he says, he's asking him, what should he be learning? So we have two different manuscripts over here. We have two different translations. One is by Harav Helkin, who was a great chacham. Helkin, I forgot his first name. And the other one is from Yitzchak Shilat, who soll sein gesund, Rav Yitzchak Shilat. He's the father of Rav Moshe Shilat. We know him, Moshe Shilat, in Lubavitch, and he is the expert today on Rambam. He knows Arabic. He's a very amazing person. He wrote extremely important works on the Rambam, and one of them is Igros HaRambam. Let me just go over here. If I have it, yes. Igros HaRambam, Maduras Yitzchak Shilat. And if you really want to know, if you really like to know about the Rambam, you look over here because this is where you get true letters and true ideas what's happening with the Rambam. If it's available anywhere, I would highly, highly recommend to get this 2 volumes of Igres HaRambam by Harav Yitzchak Shilat. So here right away, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, the letters that he's writing to him. So we have, it's really incredible. So getting back over here, so he's writing to Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, and he's telling him, Vim ta'abed es hazman b'pirushan. So he's telling him, if you're really going to spend a lot of time learning Gemara, or Pirushei Sugyas HaGemara, you're wasting your time. V'oisem hadvarim asher pitarnu mehem. I think that's how you pronounce it. Those things that we freed you from them. Here he writes an exclamation mark. I guess it's Helkin who's writing the exclamation mark. Like, what do you mean, those things? In other words, the Rambam is saying that I have freed you by writing my Mishnah Torah. I have freed you from the shackles of Gemara. So now you want to go back to the Gemara? You're wasting your time, and you're not going to have much benefit from that. Now let's look into Madur's Kapach. That's Madur's Kapach. Excuse me, not Helkin. I made a mistake. That's Madura's Kapach, and we know Harav Yosef Kapach. Okay, that's his translation of it. So we have, you could say in a way, the Bar Plukta of Harav Yosef Kapach when it comes to translation and things. Harav Yitzchak Shilat. So he has different translations. So he tells them like this. This is in the letter. It could be he had a different manuscript. I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, this is the letter that the Rambam writes to Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda. Vatsasi, my Eitzah is, Shetasa Yegiacha HaMischar V'liman HaRefuah. You should deal with business. Just like we said before, that the Rambam was not pro to make the Torah Kardam Lachberba. So his Talmud is asking what he should do. He says, get a job. What job? So we have business or refuah, become a doctor. And what else should you be doing learning? Ima Esek beTalmud Torah be'emes. You learn the emes of Talmud Torah. What's emes? The light, and I'm going to tell you what does it mean learning Torah be'emes, truthfully. So he says, V'loi tilmad ela helchas harav. Who's the Rav? The Rav is Harav Yitzchak Alfasi, known to us as the Rif. Now, I want to just add over here, when you look into the Gemara and you look into the Rif, there's a name to the Rif. The Rif, what the Rif does, he eliminates Shakel of Itaria and he gets straight to the Halacha. The name of the Rif, the name of the Sefer, I don't know if he named it, but perhaps he did, but the name of the Sefer is Halachis. That's it. And it's a fantastic name, either Sefer Halachis or Halachis. We call it Rif after Rav Yitzchak Elfasi. What's so fantastic about the name? The name tells you exactly what it is. I'm taking the Gemara and I'm telling you what the Halacha is. So the Rambam says, to Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, V'loi tilmid ala hilchas harav. You should learn only the Rif. V'tashve oisai lachibur. And you should also compare it to Chibur. When he says Chibur, he means Mishnah Torah. Learn Rif, compare what the Rif says to my Mishnah Torah. Now, V'im matzasa machloikes. And if you're going to find that there's a machloikis between the Rif and Mishnah Torah, so by the way, he mentioned it before, in one letter the Rambam says, I agree with everything the Rif says besides for 10 things, and another time he writes besides for 30 things. So it could be also a difference between how advanced he was with writing of Mishnah Torah. So now the Rambam continues, V'im atzasa machloikis teidu she'iyu na Talmud mevi lekach. I think what he means over here, if you ever find a machlaikis, maybe only then look into the Gemara. I'm not sure if that's what it means. But look over here. V'im tichla zmancha beperushim ubeperushim aviyas haGemara. And if you're going to waste your time, like we said in last year, that the Rambam says, havayas the abaya virava is davar katan. If you're going to go into the waste your time over there, those I'll be very upset. I freed you from those, as we said before. I freed you from the shackle of Gemara. So hareze ibud azman umiut hata elas. So this is a waste of time. So it seems it's the same letter. Maybe here is just a part of it, and this is from Kapach, and this is from Harav Yitzchak Shilat. Anyways, we do get the point, and the point is that the Rambam is minimizing learning Gemara. When he says, Kloloi shel davar, you don't need any other sefer besides mine when it comes to halacha. Well, the Rambam says halacha is the most important thing. He follows the Rif. His father was Maimon, whose Rebbe was Rimegash, whose Rebbe was the Rif. And that's the reason why we have Gemara, is to get the halacha. But I'm telling you what the halacha is, so I'm freeing you from learning Gemara. So the Rambam writes in a different place over there, something else. You could take a look at this yourself. I don't want to delve into it so much. I just like to conclude at least this article. You have the article yourself. I'd like to conclude this article with a fantastic story over here. And it's a real story. And based on that story is what I wrote, at least over here, with this picture, Rambam to his students. And I was thinking how to translate it. Hopefully I got the translation correct. But the Rambam is saying here, if I wanted that Mishnah Torah should be explained by referencing Gemara, I would have never composed it. That's the very strong words that the Rambam is saying. Let's see what he means over here with that. And let's see this fascinating story with his son, Rabbeinu Avram. Usually we have the understanding that Rashi had a Beis Medrash, Rashi had Talmidim. The fact of the matter is, I also brought down in my Sefer HaMover L'Sifrei Rambam, that there was a Beis Medrash that the Rambam had, and he had a curriculum. And what he learned over there was either Rif or his Sefer Mishnah Torah. Like we said in last year, Chacham Mahu Oimer. What the Chacham is, you want to know what type of Chacham he is? Whatever he says. That's who you could say who he is. For what the Rambam is writing in the letter to his Talmud, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda. What the Rambam is expressing over here, how he set up a curriculum in his own Beis Medrash. From that you understand who the Rambam was. After this, we're going to get to the letter Reb Pinchas Dayan, where we spoke about it briefly, and then we're going to conclude to see what we spoke before about the Rebbe, Lubavitcher Rebbe. Okay, here we go. So this is a fantastic letter that we have from Rabbeinu Avram. Now, the Rambam had one son. Whether he had daughters or not, or how many daughters, we really don't know. There's different talks about that, but we do know that he had one son. He had a tremendous Talmud Chacham, who you could write Seforim about him, and his name is Rabbeinu Avraham, who was overshadowed by his father 100%. And it's interesting because Rabbeinu Avram learned by the Rambam. He was his Talmud Muvak, you could say, but he passed away. But when the Rambam passed away, he was only 18 years old. But he knew so much about his father. So what happened was, Rabbeinu Avram had a yeshiva. And let me read the words over here. and we'll translate, and we'll tell you the story from here itself. So this is something that was written that this person heard it from Rabbeinu Avram. Rabbeinu Avram was also known as HaChassid and HaKodesh. He was his own personality and very, very interesting. Maybe one day we'll get to Shiurim about Rabbeinu Avram. If anyone wants material about Rabbeinu Avram, I do have some write-ups on him, very interesting one. He wrote Shilos HaTshuva about his life. And it seems that some people did take up my offer in the past. So you could WhatsApp me or info@shazak.com and just say, could I please have the ksavim that you have on Rabbeinu Avram? Fascinating person. Back to the story. Hinene misaper l'chosher davar sheshamati v'ani v'chol nintzayim imi bebeis medrashay shel Rabbeinu Avram HaChassid HaKadosh. So this is a story that I heard in the Beis Medrash of Rabbeinu Avram. Whenever we say chibur, we mean the Mishnah Torah. This was a response Rabbeinu Avram said regarding the Mishnah Torah. V'ratza oisei Talmud, sheyafarshu lahem mina Talmud. In other words, the student wanted to do something that we do all the time, and this is par for the course. We don't learn Rambam in order to understand the Rambam. We learn Rambam in order to understand the Gemara. So they have in the curriculum, Rabbeinu Avram is giving a share in Mishnah Torah. Comes along a Talmud. I don't know if he is registered in the Beis Medrash. I don't know if how much tuition he's paying or if he's paying any tuition. But this Talmud comes along. And he says, you know what? Oh, I understand this is what your father wrote in Mishnah Torah, but how did he get it? Let's look into the source of the Gemara, and let's understand how your father came to that conclusion. Amar Loi. So Rabbeinu Avram said to him, Zeh l'shainai. These are the same exact words that he says. Kadavar hazeh kara l'Rabbeinu. This exact same thing happened. Right, so Limer Aviv, meaning his father. Im Adam sha'aya ba me kahir lufustat. Lebeis medrashe shel Rabbeinu Moshe zecher tzadik livracha zecher kodesh livracha. That happened to my father. Now, there's kahir. We call kahir is Cairo, but there is where the Rambam lived was a suburb of Cairo called Fustat. I don't know if there is Fustat nowadays. Perhaps there is. So in general, we say the Rambam lived in Cairo, but it meant Fustat. So he came to Fustat, to the Beis Medrash of my father. And that person thought, grace Gemara learner. Beis Medrash nizdamen maimer bechibur. So now he walked into the Beis Medrash, and he sees over there that they're learning Mishnah Torah. Upirsai harambam letalmidim lefi pshutai vayrasai. And the Rambam is not delving into every single word over there. He's telling him simple, this is the halacha. Mishnah Torah was there to teach you the halacha. It wasn't there to teach you the Gemara. However, the student comes in, he wants to perhaps show off. Or perhaps he's used to it. There's a whole shakla v'tarya in the Gemara. So Heyer Oisei Bal Talmud Es Rabbeinu Al Kach. So he said, Rebbe, ich will eich sagen. He didn't say dear because that's not respectful. But he said in Yiddish, I'm just joking. He said, I want to tell you that I want to bring it to your attention, Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, Rambam, in case you didn't know that the Gemara has an entire shakla v'tarya about this, and perhaps, of course, I'm saying it facetiously, I'm saying it, sarcastically, but perhaps he meant to say, well, it's so interesting. You say a Mishnah Torah like this, so how do you learn Pshat and Gemara? V'ratza sheyimser mashenemer b'talmud b'kesher emaisei maimer. So, these are the fantastic words that the Rambam answers, this Talmud. And this is what Rabbeinu Avram is mentioning to a similar Talmud. So he says, Heishav loy zal, the Rambam answered him, Beloshen azeh. Lu haisa machshavti shefarish es achibur batalmud. If it would have been in my thought that the reason I'm writing the Mishnah Torah is in order to reference the Gemara, like kasafti chibur, I wouldn't have written the Mishnah Torah in the first place. In other words, batle eifo divrei amir shelo yikar bechibur ad sheyifurish b'talmud. So the Rabbeinu Avram is saying that that's not the idea. You don't get it. My father, the Rambam, he wrote in his introduction that this is what he wants to do. He doesn't want to schlep you back to the Gemara. He wants to free you from the Gemara. Because if he wanted you to use the Rambam to help learn the Gemara, he would have never wrote the Mishnah Torah in the first place. So that is the letter which I think sums up everything. And then we're going to go to this letter of Reb Pinchas Hadayan. We're going to cover that, and then we're going to talk about, okay, what does the Rambam really want us to do with all our time? But this is for your reference, and it's amazing, amazing letters. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is go into my sefer here, Hamavei L'Sifrei HaRambam. That, by the way, you have Hamavei L'Sifrei HaRambam. You could even download it as a PDF. You have the entire sefer over here. It's just easier for me to use it with Eitzer HaChachma. So here we have it's actually in the 15th chapter. And we have the story with Reb Pinchas Hadayan. Here in the Sefer, I also talk about Ben Sfar LaAshkenaz. So we're going to go through this. We did mention it before, but I think it's worth repeating again. So actually, if you go into this chapter, you're going to find the arguments, the rush against the Rambam. So we have that Reb Pinchas Hadayan is living in Alexandria. That's where he's living, in Egypt. But he is originally from Ashkenaz. That's where he's from. So he is the Shita. Of course, you have to learn Gemara. And he was really upset, together with a lot of people, that it seemed that the Rambam is saying to neglect Gemara. By the way, in the last year that I gave, so I also explained with the Maratz Chias and Shadal and everything that it doesn't mean to say 100% that the Rambam wanted to neglect the Gemara, but the point is that we shouldn't focus so much on the Masa or Matan of the Gemara, the Shakla V'Tarya. In other words, Davar Katan, we need to have it. We need to have the Shakla V'Tarya just to understand the process in order to get to Halacha, because you're going to have many shilas that are going to come along as time progresses, so you need to know how to paskin it. So according to the Rambam, yes, you have to know that. And you can know different aspects of a Gemara, so not to neglect it 100%. So it's just what the Rambam is saying is we don't have to focus so much time on the learning of a Gemara. So that's what we said in the last year. You could go there. So anyways, so the Rambam was saying it's beneficial to look over here into this parak. But here the Rambam says a Maisa Shahaya. So I'm going to tell you this story briefly. And then I'm going to repeat what I said in the last year also regarding this story. So the Rambam says, I never said to burn any of the Gemaras. I never said like that. And this you could call, this is different, and this is what I like to explain, even if perhaps you won't like it. But there's a difference. By every single person, there's a difference to who you're writing the letter to. In other words, beforehand we had that the Rambam wrote to Yosef Rabbi Yehuda. When he's writing to Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, he wrote Moreh Nevuchim because of him. It's a different relationship, and he's asking him what to do. From that, this is what is in the heart of the Rambam. Here, the Rambam is writing to somebody who he knows comes from a different world, from a different perspective. So of course he's writing different to him. Perhaps I could give an example. Better not. I'll skip it. So, what happens over here is the Rambam says, Chas v'shalom, I never said to burn the Gemaras. I never said like this. And to even make my point greater, I'm going to tell you what happened. I'm going to tell you a Ma'aseh Shahaya, B'didi Havi Uvda. So one Dayan came over to me, and he had the Mishnah Torah in his hand, and he had Hilchos Reitzeach from Sefer Nezikim. So he showed me one halacha. Interesting, Nezikim, look how it's spelled. I think that here the Rambam, this letter is written actually in Hebrew because he's writing to him, even though he lives in Alexandria. I think that since he's from Ashkenaz, that originally he's writing to him in Hebrew. But this is actually the correct way to spell Nezikin. If you look into different Frankel Rambam, perhaps you're going to have over there that correct spelling. But that's Agavurcha. So anyways, he showed me one halacha. So he said to me, read it. So I read it. So he says, what's your problem? So he says, what's the source? So he says, in its place, either in Makis, Eila and Agala, or Sanhedrin. So he says, so the Dayan HaChassid, not Pinchas HaDayan, a different guy, one says, well, I looked over there, I couldn't find it. So then the Rambam says that maybe it's in Yerushalmi. So he said, I looked there, it's also not in Yerushalmi and not in Tosefta. So I was like, the Rambam says, I shaken for a moment. So I said, how could it be? I'm the Mechaber, and I forgot. So he said, you know what? Maybe it's in Gittin. So I took out a Gittin. The Rambam took out a Gittin, and he looked and he couldn't find it. Meanwhile, he left. After the Dayan left, so then I remembered. So I sent the Shliach and I said, it's in Yevamis. That's where it is. So that was it. That's the story. So the Rambam concludes, V'chein tamid ani b'tzar mizeh sheyavay ashayol v'yishol heichen nemru dvarim elo. I always shtickle problem that since I didn't write the sources in Mishnah Torah, somebody's going to come along and they ask me where it is. So Valzani mitztar harbish ani amer ani mechaber. I'm the mechaber v'yisalami many mimakam davar zeh ma yasu shar b'nei adam. What are other people going to do? So here are the words that the Rambam says. Valzeni chamti, and here I do have charata. Shaloi chibarti im chiber zeh inyan shani omer locha. Ubidaiti im geyser Hashem yisparach she'asena afu pi sheish boi tarach harbe. I say that I'm going to make another sefer, and it's going to have the Mekairos. And he tells you in examples. However, he adds here, V'yiyaz a sefer b'fnei atzmai, she'i efsher la'asei zeh begufay shal chibur k'moi sh'amarti l'cha. It's impossible to make it in the Chibur itself, in Mishnah Torah itself. I don't want to put it over there. So you're going to see, look, if you want to look over here in Ha'ara 19, what does it mean? She'i afsher la'asei zeh begufay shel chibur. So the answer is, why is he adding these words to him? Because if he writes the Mekairos of Gemara in Mishnah Torah itself, it becomes part and parcel of Mishnah Torah. That defeats the purpose of writing Mishnah Torah. So that's what you have to focus over here. So in general, people take this tshuva, this letter that the Rambam writes, and they write at the end, you know what? The Rambam in his B'Saif Yamav, he had charata. No, he didn't have charata. This is what you call an apologetic letter. Apologetic letter could mean like when you're saying to somebody has a question, for example, this is what I wanted to say before. Someone has a question about Moreh Nevuchim, so you could answer two ways. You could go into the deep aspects of Moreh Nevuchim, or you could say, apologetically, the Rambam wrote it for the Nevuchim, for the Nebuch people, which is 100% wrong. There's nothing further from the truth from that, if anyone who read the Hakdama to Moreh Nevuchim or looked into Moreh Nevuchim itself. So that's what we call an apologetic letter. So the Rambam is not saying here, is saying, you know what, he's being, you could say, politically correct. That's what the Rambam is being over here. Did the Rambam ever write it? So the rule is that the Rambam wrote anything that he wanted to write. The Rambam accomplished whatever he wanted to. If he didn't do it, it's because he had a reason. And he could say that he didn't do it because that would have undermined what Mishnah Torah is all about. However, I wrote something here in my Sefer that I don't believe, but I wrote it anyways because I'm an apologetic guy. Because pleasing people who are reading my Sefer. Ach, Ritzayin Yirei of Yaseh, B'daris Habayim, G'daylei Olam Kosvu, Seforim Marim, Mekaymes LaRambam, Hem Noisei Klei HaRambam, Kemigdalois, HaMagid Mishnah, HaKesef Mishnah, Haradvaz, Umamshichem, Ad Deirenu. I don't think it's Ritzayin Yirei of Yaseh. It's absolutely not Ritzayin Yirei of Yaseh. It's something that the